The anterior compartment of the forearm consists of 3 different layers of muscles. But before we start looking at the different muscles and all of their names, let's recall the strategy for how they are named. The first term is going to tell you what the action is. So it's going to differentiate as a flexor versus an extensor in many cases. The second term, if it has 3 names, is going to tell you the target structure, whether that's the wrist or the digits, while the last name will be a descriptor of some sort. Let's now take a closer look at the first or the superficial layer of the forearm flexors and follow this naming protocol. The first of these muscles is named the pronator teres, and as we would expect, the first word is the action and the last word is a descriptor. So this is going to produce pronation of our forearm by a round muscle, teres meaning round in Latin. We can see that this will be assisted by another square-shaped muscle that is the pronator quadratus, or the pronating muscle that is square-shaped. Next to the pronator teres, we see that the flexor carpi radialis is going to begin near the medial epicondyle of our humerus, cross the wrist, but it'll be positioned on the radial side. So this is a flexor of our wrist on the radial side. The next muscle that we see is the palmaris longus, and the palmaris longus is going to be a long, thin, tendoned muscle that crosses superficial to the flexor retinaculum. So this is the only tendon in our wrist that crosses superficial to this thick band of connective tissue, and that will help you identify this muscle if present. Not everybody actually has a palmaris longus muscle. The fourth of the superficial flexors is the flexor carpi ulnaris, or the flexor of the wrist on the ulnar side. And we can see that this is the largest of the 4 superficial flexors, and it's also going to assist in medial deviation of our wrist. Now the 4 superficial flexors are located superficial to the intermediate or second layer, which actually only has 1 muscle in this layer. And don't be fooled by the name, the flexor digitorum superficialis. This tells us that this is a superficial muscle when compared to its counterpart, the deep, but it is not part of the superficial compartment muscles. The name of this muscle is the flexor digitorum. Therefore, it flexes the digits, but it is more superficially located. The third layer, or third set of muscles in the forearm, are the deep group or deep layer muscles, and there are going to be 3 muscles found in this most deep layer. The flexor digitorum profundus is the counterpart I spoke of a moment ago. So this will be the flexor of the digits that's more deeply located. And as we can see, the flexor digitorum profundus, as was the case with the superficialis, splits and sends a tendon to each of our 4 digits, excluding the thumb, which is not considered a digit. This muscle, the flexor pollicis longus, takes care of the thumb for us, and as its name would imply, it flexes the thumb but with a long tendon. What we'll see is there's a counterpart, a flexor pollicis brevis, located in the hand itself. The third muscle in this third layer is the pronator quadratus, which is the square-shaped pronating muscle we first saw assisting the pronator teres. So as you look at the muscles here in the anterior compartment of the arm, recall their action, then their target, and lastly, a descriptive term.